MotoGP just celebrated its 75th birthday at Silverstone, and as part of the festivities, every rider rode a vintage livery this weekend. I think that this is a wonderful idea, I love the concept behind it, and I think the execution was pretty good. I think it's a great way to celebrate the history of the sport, and today I wanted to take a look at all of the liveries and rank them from the worst to the best. Now for this ranking I'm going to take into account two major factors. One is how good does the bike look? The other factor is the historical content. How well does the bike bring the livery that it's trying to replicate into the modern day? Now, I think that most of these liveries are pretty good. There's only a couple that I think aren't great, and starting at the very bottom, we have the factory Ducati team. Before this bike was unveiled, Enea Bastianini was still in the paddock. He was taking his time, and so they interviewed Pecco Bagnaia, and he said, you know, it's a good bike, but I think there's too many sponsors on it. And I was thinking, oh, it can't be that bad. It's that bad. It's so bad. I really wanted to see a Marlboro livery. I think it's one of the most iconic looks in not just MotoGP, but in racing in general. And you took it, and then you vomited sponsors all over it, so it's literally unrecognizable. I just think that it shits all over the legacy of the GP03. It's not good.
Ugh. Brother, ugh.
Coming in 11th, I have the Gas Tech 3 bike. This bike was inspired by the 1988 KTM LC Ford, and you would not know it based on looking at it. First of all, the bike isn't the right color, it's not the right pattern, it just has the Gas logo plastered right on top of it. This is a bike where I could not even begin to identify what you were basing it off of. This would look great as a special livery on any other weekend, but that's not what this weekend's for. They also just copied the KTM livery, which does much more justice to the original bike. Now, I understand that Gas hasn't been in MotoGP for very long, however, you have so many possible designs to take from the Tech 3 name that it really doesn't make sense to me why you chose to copy KTM. I really don't get it.
Oh my god!
Coming in 10th is the Idemitsu Honda design. I think that this design looks very good, and quite frankly that's the only reason why I don't have it a little bit lower on this list, because it's not trying to copy a retro design whatsoever. Well, I think this bike does look very good. It does a great job of honoring the Japanese heritage of the Idemitsu team. There is a really good retro livery that I would have liked to see, and that design would be Lucio Cecchinello's original Honda NS125 bike. I think that this would look great brought into the modern day, and while I understand the idea behind this design, I think that, once again, if you want to do a special Idemitsu design, I absolutely love this livery. I think it would look great on any other weekend, but when you're trying to bring a retro livery into the modern day, this just doesn't work very well.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Next on my list, I have the other KTM bike, the factory KTM. I think this one does a much better job of adapting the bike. I think it's almost perfect, except for the giant Red Bull logo plastered on the side of it. I am just going to repeat myself here. If you want to do a Red Bull KTM livery, this would look amazing, but it's not the weekend for it. I think this is so close to being a great tribute to someone who was very integral in KTM's MotoGP journey, but it's just not quite there for me. Next up, we have the Trackhouse Aprilia team. Now this is how you do a livery when you don't have a retro design to pull from. Trackhouse does not have a long history in the sport, but they use their American heritage to honor the American legends that the sport has seen. Their livery features the faces of all 11 American Grand Prix winners. Now, while I don't think this is the best looking livery, I actually think it's one of my least favorites appearance-wise. I think calling this design creative is a massive understatement. Huge props to whoever came up with this idea. The execution is pretty solid, but I think that the idea and the spirit of honoring all of these American legends, even if you don't have a specific livery to pull from, is just fantastic.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas! Ho, 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 ho.
Next up is the LCR Honda design. Now, in the broadcast where they unveiled all these liveries, they said it was based on Mike Hailwood's MV Agusta, but it's pretty clearly based on his TT Ducati instead, with the red on top, green on the bottom. and I think that that bike is one of the most gorgeous bikes ever. I really, really love the look of that bike, and I just wish that they had copied this one a little more faithfully. I don't think there's enough red. I think just the thin amount of red on the top is not good enough. I really wish that they had gone more for the original, like, red, green, half and half design, but man, this bike looks fantastic. I really do like it. I just wish there was more red. All right, from this point onward, I think every livery is absolutely exceptional.
Rossite! Rossite!
So next, I have the VR46 Valentino Rossi inspired livery. In the broadcast, this was stated to be based primarily off his 2018 look, but honestly, I think this is a great summation of Rossi's entire career, honoring one of the absolute best to ever do it in the sport with a fantastic looking bike as well. It features his iconic sun and moon, the dark blue and neon yellow colors, and of course, the 46. Now, while I'm not necessarily crazy about the placement of the 46 behind the current rider number, I do think that this livery looks absolutely amazing, and if I have to just nitpick a little bit, I think that the sponsors on the bottom could have been less jarring colors. I think that the red and the light blue interfere a little too much, and they sort of take your eye away from what we should be looking at. Other than that, I think this is an exceptional bike, but just the sponsors are a little bit distracting. And like I said, I don't know how that system works, so I don't want to take off too many points, but it just takes something away from me.
Drink Monster Energy every day.
Speaking of sponsors ruining a design, the next bike that I have is the factory Yamaha team. This is obviously based off of Giacomo Agostini's championship-winning Yamaha, and man, this is almost a perfect design. I mean, they replicated it so well. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love the way the original bike looks. I love the way this bike looks. But man, that monster logo is just so distracting. Surely there was a more tasteful way to incorporate it. Like, even if you had the logo on there, but without the big black bars, I think that would look better. The big stripes of black are just so jarring and distracting. They don't mesh well with the design at all. It just takes something away.
Nice.
At number 4, I'm going to have the Premac Ducati team. This is a tribute to Angel Nieto, who is related to current members of the team. It's a tribute specifically to his 125cc championship winning bike, and there's just no flaws here. It's an absolutely perfect recreation in my opinion. Maybe there's a couple differences from the original design. There's some sections of black up at the top of this one that I don't think were present in the original, but it looks fantastic. It's a great tribute. No notes. In third place, I have the factory Aprilia team. The red, black, and yellow Max Biaggi 250cc hat trick from the 90s bike is brought to life in 2024 with a fantastic recreation. Once again, this is just a great looking bike. It looks fantastic. It honors one of the greats of the sport, and it does its job perfectly. No notes here.
Now, say my name.
Coming in second place, I have the Gresini Ducati with their Italian tricolor Fausto Gresini tribute bike. This bike is really, really clean. Just the white body, red, white, and green, Italian tricolor, stripe running up the middle. It's a tribute to Fausto Gresini's championship-winning 125cc bike from the 1980s. And I don't know if it was just them having the original bike there with the new bikes that just made me look at it and go, wow, this is almost identical and it looks beautiful. But for some reason, I have this one above the Premac bike and the factory Aprilia bike, but honestly, it feels like those three could swap places any day. They're all great recreations, and there's very little, if anything, I would change. I truly love all these bikes.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Finally, number 1. Truly one of the greatest liveries I've ever seen. Not just a recreation, but I think this is an absolutely beautiful bike. It is the factory
Honda
1983 Freddie Spencer tribute. Oh my god, does this bike look fan-fucking-tastic. It's beautiful. The white, the red, the blue, the yellow number plates, everything about this bike looks just like it did in the 80s, and it looks absolutely perfect, just like it did then. I mean, this is exactly what I was hoping for when they announced this, and man, just this bike existing feels worth this entire project. 10 out of 10. Overall, I really, really like this event. I'm super excited to see them all race on Sunday. I'm recording this on Friday just after practice happened. The bikes look fantastic. I think it's going to be hard to tell who everyone is at a first glance, but man, this is just such a cool project overall. I think everyone did a great job who was involved. I'm sure that even the bikes that I didn't like very much I'm sure that there were reasons why those decisions were made, and I think that all the bikes look good still, except for the factory Ducati. That bike looks bad. Anyway, thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.